Well, I can't explain to you how excited I am to have my mic back. As I was packing, I completely forgot to bring my mic, and I felt very sad about it. I felt so sad. I felt so sad because I have shit to say, and I don't know. I feel powerful. I feel important when I have my mic. I want to talk just very briefly about Nick Fuentes. Wow. So I actually wasn't familiar with who this guy was until the Kanye West dinner. Now everybody's talking about him. But it sounds like he's actually wanted to be talked about for some time. So I think this is interesting. First of all, Nick Fuentes is like a Latin American. I would assume he's Mexican. He's probably something else. But okay. So we've got another, and we do have to make this clear, another case of Latin American racism. So his entire platform is based on white supremacy. I think Hasan, I don't know his last name, that blogger dude, did a really good take, I thought, on Nick Fuentes, where he showed some clips about kind of like what he's talking about. And he made some really good points. He was like, I don't think that Nick Fuentes realizes that he's not white, because he's not. Like Latinx people and other people of color, even who are very light-skinned, like Asian people who are super pale, they aren't white. They're not like, whiteness in America is something very particular. And a lot of people from Latin America have this idea that their whiteness that is white in Latin America or Central America is the same as here. And they think it like translates over or something. It doesn't. It's very different. Like, whiteness in America is about, it's very complicated. Blackness in America also very complicated. Either way, I don't think Kanye West or Ye has been keeping up with what Nick Fuentes actually stands for or does, because I haven't really heard any politics that are like conservative or even like nationalist. Like, I'm not sure what they agree on politically. From all the shit that I heard, he just stands for like white nationalism. Like, that's what the platform is. And kind of being politically incorrect, he might, it kind of does seem like in a sense, if you were to shift his politics kind of even just a little bit, he might stand for kind of like pro white maleness, where in a way where he could kind of Candace Owens the situation and kind of be like pro-white male in a way that would just make some sense. But right now, everything I've seen is just literally about like white supremacy, but the kind that leaves like a really bad taste in your mouth. Anyway, I was very shocked. Like, Coulter did a really good write-up on this, so I'm just going to read it out. Trump is Nick Fuentes. Two narcissistic baby morons in a pod. Who's the happiest guy in America this week? Nick Fuentes. In a matter of days, he's gone from total obscurity to the most famous person in the country. Everybody's talking about him. Until he had dinner with Trump, literally no one had ever heard of him, except various hate watch groups scamming money out of the perpetually alarmed. This bitch is a great writer. She should write she's written books. Write some more books, Anne. This is great stuff. That's not for lack of trying on Fuentes' part. He was doing anything he could to get people to notice him. You say praising Hitler will get me in the news? Watch this. 20 researchers at the People for American Way earnestly type up reports titled The Dangerous Rise of Far-Right Extremism, and then blast them to the Upper West Side. Serendipitously, Donald Trump is also desperate for attention. As the President of the United States, he used to brag to anyone who would listen about the important people who called him. You know, the way a lot of serious adults do. Rupert Murdoch calls me every day. He proudly produced the letters he'd exchanged with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un to journalist Bob Woodward, telling him the letters were so top secret, and asking Woodward again, a journalist for the Washington Post, don't say I gave them to you, okay? This is a man who faked the Time magazine featuring him on the cover with the headline, Trump is hitting on all fronts, even TV, and hung them on the walls of his golf clubs. It's like an episode of Dynasty. It is like an episode of Dynasty. So you can well imagine Trump's state of mind right now. He blew the midterms. Everyone knew he blew the midterms. And then he held a funeral presidential announcement at Mar-a-Lago, attended by only losers and grifters. After the grim event, those of us unlucky enough to be on his email list were bombarded with messages announcing the major endorsements he'd received. Nearly 10. Endorsement of President Donald Trump by Texas Agriculture Commissioner Ms. Sid Miller. Endorsement of President Donald J. Trump by the New York Young Republican Club. Each of the no-name and or crazy people endorsing him was proclaimed in a separate email for maximum impact. I don't know whose endorsement carries any weight these days. Definitely not Trump's, but it's sure not these guys. The point is, when you're the former president and you're bragging about the Young Republican Club of New York City endorsing you for president, Nick Fuentes is a huge get. Okay. Trump was dying to have anyone famous come to Mar-a-Lago. Kanye West, Ye is a big name, right? A strongly strong name. Plus, he's probably not getting a lot of dinner invitations these days anyway. So Trump invited Ye, and Ye bought Fuentes. Major score. For days, Trump's Springtime for Hitler dinner led on every program on MSNBC. Also CNN, probably ESPN and the Cartoon Network, too. I'm gonna buy a shirt. Bitch, make some merch. I would wear it. I love her. Fuentes is the biggest news since a white guy shot up at Chesapeake Walmart. Scratch that. He was black. Since a white guy shot up a Colorado Springs gay nightclub. Oops, even move on. He's non-binary. Okay, well, never mind. Fuentes is big news. Extensive clips of his sad little podcast, 6 viewers, have been playing around the clock on TV. He's been featured on 20 separate articles in the New York Times alone, getting billboarded front page coverage, even with the Times flood the zone approach toward any vaguely white man who says something stupid. Fuentes never made the paper until December 16, 2020, on the 26th paragraph of a Thomas Edsall column. At the pro-Trump rally in Washington on December 12th, the day after the Supreme Court decision, the crowd chanted, "Destroy the GOP," at the urging of Nick Fuentes, a far-right opponent of immigration. He's a proponent of immigration, really? But he's Latino. Since then, despite his leaping in front of any microphone within 50 miles, Fuentes has appeared only in buried asides in a few dozen articles about January 6th, but now Fuentes is a star, just like Trump. Fuentes and Trump, narcissistic baby morons whose sole driving force in life is being famous. I kind of agree with that. Most people are unfamiliar with this emotion. A normal person likes everything about fame, except the fame part. I tried to turn down the Time magazine cover, as the reporter John Cloud could confirm. Another similarity of the narcissistic baby morons, both briefly gained respectability when, amid their babbling idiocies, they happened to hit upon immigration and were rewarded by a nation crying out for anyone to give a damn about our country. We didn't want the incendiary stuff, but if that's what it took to get immigration on the table, fine, we'll take it. At least they weren't calling illegal immigration an act of love. Sadly, it turned out they were just monkeys typing for an infinite amount of time and producing Shakespeare. Recall that Trump first tried running for president in 2012 by pushing birtherism. Crash and burn. I don't even remember birtherism. Then, by complete chance, a happy accident of Trump discussing me in my book Adios America and requesting a copy, in 2015 he started talking about immigration. He was pointlessly nasty, utterly ignorant, but at least he was talking about it. No one else would, so he became president. Facts. But now it's perfectly clear that Trump's bluster about a wall and deporting illegals was just random words that he assembled. He didn't intend to do it, didn't understand it, and didn't care. Now he's back to his Looney Tunes, get this mode, and still perseverating about his scared landslide election victory being viciously stolen from him in an election year when there was a red wave for every Republican but him. From what I've read, Fuentes has roughly the same BS to sanity ratio, winning fans on those occasions when he talked about immigration and then deciding to spend 99% of his time to say things so repellent that he'd make news. He's made it now. You can't turn on the TV without seeing Fuentes talking about imposing a Catholic dictatorship. Hitler is great. Women should be forced to marry young and have children, and Trump must be made dictator for life. Is he humiliated? No, he's on TV. The irony is, all the cable news hosts making Fuentes a star are driven by the same weird compulsion. No one paid by a television network is any less craven than Trump and Fuentes. Liberals are suddenly reborn as right-wingers at Fox, and the reverse happens at MSNBC and CNN. What do I have to believe? Please, I'm willing to say anything. All of the addictions, gambling, drinking, drugs, none leads to more embarrassing behavior than the quest for fame. That's true. Unfortunately for the country, we're now locked in a situation where Trump, Fuentes, and the media have identical interests. Keep Trump and Fuentes in the news. Yeah. Wow.